What should I do if I want my girlfriend to give me more compliments?
Just ask. Because part of that, I would say, is the love languages, and some people need words of affirmation as the love language, and so maybe he should get her a nice little gift, get her a little hardcover copy of the five love languages. It's a nice little tiny book. Put it in maybe a nice envelope with a nice card, and maybe you could highlight some things about your love language being words of affirmation, and say and tell her how much, because feminine energy grows through praise, and tell her how much you love it when she compliments you and points things out that she loves about you, that it makes you feel more confident and makes you appreciate her more, and that you love it when she does that because it makes you feel like you can do anything, because you want her to be your biggest cheerleader and fan, not a chick who's basically constantly trying to emasculate you and make you question yourself and doubt yourself. So that's what I would do.
What's your love language?
Well, I'd say mostly like gift giving, and but also affection. Because just in our family, when you care about somebody, you bought them something nice for their birthday or for Christmas or whatever. You put thought into it. Like my mom, during Christmas, we would have like five things that we could get for Christmas that'd be on the Christmas list. So we'd have to like give the top five toys or presents that we wanted for Christmas that Santa Claus was gonna bring, and so she would like obsess over that for months before Christmas, making sure she got the right gift, and they put money aside for it, and usually they would do something to surprise us, and we would get a gift. Like I remember one time we were looking at this. It was back in the day of the Sears catalog, and so we're looking through it. Sears catalog it had train sets, it had racetrack, it had everything, and so there was this racetrack made by Tyco. It was called the Night Glow Empire 1000. And so it was this crazy long racetrack, and it had counters. So when it would go by, it would count the number of laps. And then when you hit the number of laps, a little flag would go down, a checkered flag would go down, and the left or right, depending on who, which car passed first. And so you would have the brights up, the lights bright, and then it had like glowing tape that went down the middle of the little road. And so when you turn the lights off, all the guardrails were like green and they glowed. You had the striping in the road glowed. You had little flags all the way along the way that glowed. And of course, the cars had lights on them. And I remember we had our all of our stuff out there, and I remember because usually they would just set the things out there, and because like Santa just brings you the stuff in the box. Like I remember one year I got a remote control Coast Guard cutter for like a drive in our pool, and then so there was this big box. It was, I don't know, 4 feet wide, maybe about 8 inches thick, and probably 4 foot wide, 3 feet tall, something like that. And we were like, what the hell is that? And so my brother and I would pull the wrapping off of it because it was behind the tree. And so we didn't open it. We thought it was addressed to us, but usually the gifts from Santa Claus are all unwrapped. And so I think it was the next morning when my parents got up, they were like, well, why didn't you open the big one? We're like, oh. So we pull that off, and it says Tyco Night Glow Empire 1000. We're like, oh my God. Because because it was like $300 or something like that. It was a lot of money back. This is back in the 80s. So we looked at that. It was like, that would be just incredible if we could get something like that from Santa, but obviously it's very expensive and there's no way we could get that. So we just kind of dismissed it. But my mom was sitting there watching us too as we were talking about it, so she wrote it down, and so she would do things like that to surprise us, to exceed our expectations for Christmas. So she put a lot of thought into the gifts and things that she would buy, and so I appreciate that. So that's just one of the things. If I'm going to buy something for somebody, it's their birthday or it's Christmas or whatever, I'm going to buy them something nice that they can use. Like my uncle, he'll use his cell phone, like the cell phone that he had up until Christmas this year. I got him that cell phone like 10 years ago. And last year the battery wasn't last, so he went and got a new battery put in it. He's like he uses things until he can't fix it anymore, basically. So for Christmas, I went and got him the latest iPhone because I know he would never spend the money to do that for himself. Because a lot of his apps weren't working, especially his boating apps and stuff like that. didn't work because the phone was too old. So I got them the latest, the Pro, so we can use everything, and eventually when they start using AI, that'll work as well. So, I guess that's I get that from my mother. So that's why I say gift giving is part of it, and then the other thing is affection. I like women that are affectionate and touchy feely. Partly because I grew up in a family where you just didn't get any affection at all. So I appreciate when you don't grow up with something, you really appreciate it as you get older.
Mm. Is that why in the book you talk about early on, especially like in your high school days when you didn't have a clue, that time period in your book, you were chasing affection?
No, I would say more than anything, I was chasing attention
Attention.
just to get some attention because I was used to being ignored. Like my dad would come home, and if there wasn't any discipline that he needed to beat our ass about, then he just pop a beer and start watching the sports and space out because he's stressed of the day or whatever, and didn't really do much. So it's like same thing with my mother. It's like it was once we were younger and we got a little bit older. Going from like elementary school, middle school. It's like my parents didn't kind of know what to do with us. They didn't know how to transition because their families were real cold as well. Oh, so what would
Seeking
happen is
attention.
that when I was interested in a girl and she basically didn't pay attention or had a boyfriend or whatever, I'm wanting attention. I'm wanting somebody to like me, to show me love, and because they weren't interested, it was like that's the same. I felt normal. I was like I was used to at home. Never got love from my parents or my family, so I like a girl. She's not showing. Oh, this must be the way it is. This feels great. That was normal to me at the time.
Mm.
And so it took years to overcome that programming.
See, it wasn't until I got older that I realized my mother really wasn't there for me emotionally as I got older, for whatever reason. And when I go to see her and I give her like a hug or a kiss, she like doesn't want to kiss me. She doesn't want to hug. She'll give me like her forehead. I don't know why she does that. It's very strange. But when I was young, I mean, there were times where she was warm, and then other times where she just wasn't. And I always wondered if that had some sort of an effect on me as an adult now, where I was very needy chasing women when I was younger, and then when I found the work, this stuff, 3% Man, a few years ago, uh, it, I basically did a 180 in how I approached situations. And you know what the cringiest shit ever is when you type something into your iPhone, you go back to like an old text message from like 7 years ago, and you're like, I cannot believe I was saying that to this person. I can't believe how needy I was. They weren't they weren't responding to me. They weren't. How many times did I slide in her DM when she was ghosting me? Like I would do stuff like that, and I don't know if it's because I was chasing affection that my mom never gave me. I don't know.